Hi, welcome to another meditation hour session. I don't think that anyone is anyone is watching this as a response to my post on Instagram of this live stream because I don't see anyone. Well, I do see one viewer, so well, thanks for joining. Um, I wasn't sure if anyone gonna be, joining me, but now that you're here, I'm gonna meditate for an hour as usual, and I will use Vipassana technique to focus on my breath and body sensations. But before that, I want to talk about some of the random things I guess throughout the week happened to me. I mean, this was a short week relatively because we had public holiday on Monday for Labor Day, which I don't even know what the history of Labor Day is in the sense how it came about and what were the struggles at the time, which eventually paved the way for labor movement and maybe as an honor Labor Day. That's my understanding, at least. But I know I should research before opening my mouth about things which I don't know, and I totally get that. I totally understand that. But the good thing about being or living in this generation or era is that every one of us can express their opinion, even if a lot of it is just random BS or just echoes of other people's opinion. So it's a good thing that we all can express our opinions. The worst thing is most of the people doesn't doesn't make logical argument. They just behave in a set of patterns based on their again experience, based on their opinions. So it's what I'm getting at is it's great to express your opinion, but at the same time, every one of us have to be very, very cautious about which opinion we intake in our day-to-day life, because as food, all the information which we feed also affect our day-to-day life. And the next or one of the next big thing gonna be to train people to how to effectively use internet, because I believe internet is like that toy which if like a unexplored toy in a way that as a kid when you stumble upon any of the toy which you haven't seen before, you'll go with the curiosity, you'll try to kind of try to understand everything, and in that period you're gonna absorb a lot of good things and bad things, and that's what internet is in some sense. Like you can just go up online and absorb different sort of information, and some of it is good and some of it is bad. And once you understand that the toy has a specific purpose in some sense, and you can use the toy to kind of play with it with that purpose. What I'm implying is, like, if you have a toy train which would run only on track, you can experiment with it and just play around without tracks, but eventually it's going to work better once you realize that you have to lay the track. Similarly, I think it's not a good analogy I'm trying to make for internet, but similarly, internet is that thing where where you need to explore the good side and the bad side of the internet to figure out how it can benefit you in your personal life. And I feel that this should be a part of curriculum for the next generation of people or kids or students, so that they can learn how to differentiate the facts from alternate facts when they hear things on internet. And also when you hear or read a message from someone who you know personally, that have a different impact than reading a message from someone random online. So when you get a message from your, let's just say, from your friend, very close friend, and you start believing into that message without even cross-checking, then you're creating your own bubble based on that information you absorbed. So I don't have to tell this to anyone, for that matter, because I bet like everyone who's watching this knows that they are smart enough to differentiate good and bad information. The problem is we overestimate our filters, how good we are than how good we really are, and this is also proven in different cases as well, because if you ask someone how good of a driver they are, they would say that they are above average. But when you look at the stats, look at the data, it's pretty clear that most of the people are not good drivers, and most of the people overestimate their capabilities, and that's what we do when it comes to understanding any information we find online or in our social media apps, because we try to we overestimate that we know better, and we just either absorb that information or pass it on to other people within our network. And that is a recipe for being for first of all, for being misinformed, and at the same time, if you start acting on that misinformation, it could take your life in a different trajectory altogether. So if I received a message saying that, say, Trump's immigration policy is good for the country, and I start believing it, then that will change the aspects of my life as well. And if I look at the facts and see what these immigration policies are doing to not just the illegal immigrants, but also to the legal immigrants, then I have opportunity to better prepare or weigh my options to see what is good for me personally, as well as people I'm connected with. May not be for immigration policy, but for other policies like healthcare, right? So if you support a specific healthcare option, then you can inform others about that option, or you can at the very least share your option or share your opinion about why you believe healthcare for all going to be beneficial for all. Than some sort of than current system, in short, where it's super complicated for an obvious reason, because if things are simpler, then people can see through the net of complexity, I guess. And yeah, and just sharing your opinion on things which actually matters to you is important, especially now than ever, because internet creates this huge opportunity for everyone to be able to express their opinion. And on top of that, when you find like-minded people who resonate with your opinions, then you can create your network, a virtual network, so to speak, and then you can partake into actionable policies, or then you can do something more actionable, maybe changing your own life for your betterment. So that's a huge benefit of having this opportunity to express your opinion. And on the downside, or the other side, is that when people could use these channels to express the hateful side of their opinion, and exploit that to by spreading misinformation. But again boils down to how you filter out information from misinformation. What you think as is a good information for you is based on your entire life experience, unless you're a critical thinker and try to dissect any information which you get from any source, or non-reliable source, then that actually is a healthier habit, because then you can consume better information. And I feel like I feel like having this channel is really, really helpful. It changed a lot of things in my life in the past few months. I mean, one of the biggest things was I moved, I moved to a new place, and for the first time in my life, I'm living by myself. So so I have no excuse with whatever is happening in my life. I mean, I didn't have excuse even before, but now I know I have now I know that I have to set up my own schedule, and I have to act on all of those schedules. I mean, living by yourself give that freedom for sure. And I think that everyone should live by themselves, at least for a brief period of time, just to kind of see, or just to kind of, observe yourself, how you behave when you're truly grown up, in a way, or at least feel like grown up, because living by yourself is also a lot of work, because now I'm responsible for every single thing happening in the place I'm living. So that definitely changes some of the priorities, I guess. And also I noticed that once I started living by myself, I'm able to stream these 1 hour sessions pretty regularly, except for the few times I miss once in a while, or in a typical week. But having this opportunity to be able to live stream, I can I'm also building up my own craft in a way, because I want to be able to I want to become a better orator, to be able to express my thoughts in a different at different places. Obviously I do stand-up comedy because I can interact with live audience and live people, and that's a whole different game. And just streaming this YouTube videos kind of make me become more cautious of what I'm saying, how I'm saying, and also to ensure that I use the words which are less ambiguous and more direct. And also because this will be on internet forever as long as the civilizations last. So this is gonna be like a montage, like a journal for me to, come back and or go back and see. So this is gonna be this is capturing my opinions or my stream of thoughts right now, right at this moment, because I want to be able to just speak different topics, like, which are going through my head, and see where it takes me. And a lot of this conversation, a lot of the things which I'm gonna say are gonna be not completely formed, because I'm making up these argument or expressions before I speak out. So, but this routine itself helped me to kind of flesh down some of the ideas before I actually started meditating. And plenty of times that helped, because then and one of the things which I was thinking about earlier today was how I am dedicated to kind of improve my life by acting on the things I deeply care about. So I am trying to be regular to my stand-up open mics, regular to my Aikido training, regular to my archery training, regular to meditating for an hour and live streaming this every single day, writing a journal, working out, or having a ritual around different things, and having a good feedback definitely makes it more changeable. It makes it much better. So that's one of the reasons why I started capturing the things I do every single day. Or I listed out 3 or 4 things which I want to do every single day, or X amount of times per week. And I created this plan, and I call it an odd plan. So if you listen to any of my previous podcasts, I mentioned it in the past as well. But I firmly believe, and my hypothesis is that in order to create pattern of habits or patterns of anything, you name it, right? In order to create a pattern in your life, you have to repeat, because repetition creates pattern. And the total number of times you have to repeat any given task to be labeled as pattern is 3. And one of the example I talk about is imagine if you have, if I give you 2 numbers, and let's take a step back. If I give you 1 number and ask you what would be the next number in the series, you would never know. If I give you number 2, you can say number 6, but probably the answer was number 3, because we don't know what that series yet is. That series is yet. And if I give you 2 numbers and ask you to predict what the 3rd number is, then it's a different conversation, right? If I give you 2, 5, then you can say the next number in the series is 8, because you have some idea of what the connection between the first and the second numbers are, or second digits are. And that will help you to get to the third digit or third number in the series. So actually, I take that back. I messed that up. Because if I give you two numbers like 2 and 5, it still could mean the next number could be something else. It doesn't mean that there is any sort of relationship between those two numbers. And if I give you 2, 5, and 8, then you'd be able to predict the fourth number. So I definitely made a boo-boo here. So I messed this up. And what I'm trying to say is the total number of times you have to repeat any given task to become a pattern is 3. And that's why I created this 1, 3, and 5 weeks plan. This is my personal plan, so that I can list out what I want to do in 1 week, 3 weeks, and 5 weeks. So creating a schedule based on 3 different timelines will create a pattern in my brain, in my mind, to schedule events based on 1 week, 3 week, and 5 weeks. And there is no specific reason for it other than I just feel that 1 week, 3 week, 5 weeks is very works for me. And if some other arbitrary number work for you, then use that. Maybe 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and 6 weeks work for you, or maybe 1 week, 2 week, and 4 weeks work for you. Whatever that is, you can make up your own schedule. But the bigger point is when you start exhibiting your actions, your habits in a pattern, then it's more likely that it becomes engraved within your lifestyle, and then what used to be a chore can become a habit, and what used to be a habit can become a passion. So there are a lot of advantages when you create a specific habit or pattern into your lifestyle. And when I started meditating and streaming it online on YouTube, it took me a few days to get used to how to okay, scratch that. That's a different train of thought I was trying to go on, and I clearly no idea where it was leading, so I'd rather just stop it. So, and this is what it is like in my head. A lot of times I'm going on one train of thought, and then I come across some different point and I jump on that point and start going into different direction altogether. And that's why I'm just doing this. I'm just live streaming all the things which comes into my mind, because I want to be at a level where I can become more comfortable when I'm in front of camera, and I become more aware of what I'm talking. Because if we have a normal conversation in real life, the way I interact with you going to be completely different, because we'll have a conversation. But when you're just sitting in front of a camera and just talking out loud, it's a weird situation to be in. I mean, I speak with myself every single day, as you would as well. But it's a different conversation, because I have a lot of silent conversation. I know what's going on. I know which direction my conversation is heading, and I can just use any language I want. I can just use my experiences to kind of relate to a point. But when I'm sitting down here and streaming this live in front of camera, I just cannot take a shortcuts. I cannot just skip the points. I have to be as expressive as possible. And I'm using this as an exercise. So just gonna sit down here with my uncomfortness and just speak out whatever comes into my mind. And I know a lot of it gonna be garbage, some of it gonna be good, and I hope like whenever I hope that you can differentiate the jewel from the garbage, like the information from the internet, which so yeah, what do I want to talk about? I mean, there are a lot of different streams. Well, I was talking about the plan, so let me complete that thought first. So I create 1-3-5 weeks plan, and my weekly plan has sub plans within it. So what I'm going to do every single day. So every single day, my aim is to finish at least 3 or 4 tasks which I outline for myself, and those are in the combination of meditating, writing a journal, doing basic yoga move. Those are like 3 important things which I want to continue to do and retain for my entire life. The 4th thing is to go to open mics if there is any available, if there is any mic available, or if there is any venue available, and go there and perform. So that's one of the skill set I'm working on to become better at. The other skill set is to go and train Aikido, because I want to understand the concepts behind Aikido and how and train my body and my mind to be able to well, I want to train my body so that it can retain muscle memory and I can become activer than what I am today, and remain healthier, and in the process improve my stamina, improve my strength overall, and whatnot. And I want to train my mind, because everything you learn in martial arts is unique for human body, but at the same time, it also teaches how you can handle situations where you don't want to be in. And also, I feel like there is this rubbing off effect, so to speak. So when you start learning any one new skill and add a different skill, or then both of those skills kind of help one other. To give you an example, I realized when I started going to Aikido and around same time, I was also going to archery, and I noticed that there are so many different differences between both of these skill sets, but there are so many commonalities as well. And one of the commonality is to act from the core, because both Aikido and archery requires you to I'm just waiting for this emergency vehicle to, you know, uh, to fade. But both of these skills require you to focus on your core, and you will be using your core to kind of become to do Aikido moves and to shoot an arrow. So those are the commonalities, and I feel like every skill set you pursue gonna have effect on one other. And I think that the purpose of life is to learn as many skills as you can. And that's my purpose of life, at least. So everyone get to define their own purpose of life. That's the beauty of being free. And I want to learn so many different skill sets, and there's no specific reason for, you know, learning it in the sense like I don't want to be you know, the master or the greatest archer ever or greatest martial artist ever. And you may ask, why not? Why don't I have that enough fire to become the greatest? Because I think that's the wrong question. I don't want to be greatest because that takes away. That's a wrong aim to. That's a wrong target to aim at. I want to become better at these skill sets. I want to become better at everything I do, and regardless of where I end. Because if I just start focusing on where I want to end, then that takes away my focus from how I'm going to be there in some sense, or how I'm going to, learn. I guess I understand when people say that you need to have fire to become the greatest at anything. But I do have fire to improve myself into a specific skill set. I don't have a fire to become greatest at anything because I don't care about titles. I don't care if someone called me greatest at any specific skill. Instead, I care more about becoming better at any skill I opt in for. So like I was saying, like, you know, becoming master at anything. If you're getting into anything, in order to become greatest or master at that skill, then that's a wrong approach. That's what I personally feel. I would rather start learning different skills and things I want to pursue, I'm really interested in, and on my journey of getting better at that skills, if I reach to the level of mastery, that would be awesome. But I'm not pursuing the skill just to become master at that skill. So for me, the titles, the mastery is a side effect, a good thing if it comes along. But my major focus is just to become better at those skills. And I bet everyone is driven by different skills or different things they want to pursue. And I feel a lot of us are tied up in our day-to-day life to either give a shot to those skills which we want to, you know, become better at. And that's one of the biggest disadvantage in the overall evolution, I guess, of human species, because I'm lucky enough to have all the opportunities I have around me, but a lot of people aren't. There are people who are uh, financially disadvantaged and they cannot uh, pursue the skill sets they want to. Hell, there are people who can't even go to college because they don't have enough money. So that is a giant limitation for a lot of people. And on the and not on the other end, but there are people who has let's just say financial resources, but they lack opportunities. So if you are say in a place where there are not so many opportunities available, or if you're in a place where there are a lot of restriction imposed, then that also limit down how much you can pursue your passion or whatever you want to learn. So the point I'm making is evolutionarily we aren't at a point where we can use our time, energy, and other resources such as money towards what we want to do, what we want to get better at, and improve ourselves. Because there are a lot of people who are still still have issues surviving in this world. But I do resonate with a lot of people who say that most of these limitations are because of the mindset. And I understand that people who grew up with a specific mindset continue to live using those mindsets throughout their life, and whether if those mindsets are self-limiting, they limit themselves within that narration, and that limit down their overall lives, I guess, overall life, and that's where the mindsets are very important. And I feel like I was reading this quote from someone, which I'm completely blanking who actually said that quote, but you have two lives. The second life start when you realize that you have only one life. So that's where that's a very, very important realization, because every single person on this planet gonna have limited time, limited energy, and limited resources accessible at any given moment. And if we can evolve to the level that at least the limitation on the resources are eliminated, then people would be able to use their time and energy into the things they want to pursue. And I'm not under illusion that this is gonna happen by any specific. I'm not in the illusion that this is gonna happen anytime soon. It's gonna take centuries to reach to the level where people would have abundant time, or people won't have any limitation because of resources, and they would have abundant time and energy to pursue whatever they want to. And that's where I believe that would be an age of artists, because every single task you do is, in a way, artistry. When you cook a food, that's a form of art. When you uh, when you just say drive, that's a form of art. When you write, that's a form of art. When you speak, that's a form of art. You name it, like every single thing you do could be seen as form of art, because art is kind of vague, right? So, but most of the artists have desire to improve their craft and express and share their artists their art and express and share their art, uh, and that requires a lot of time and energy, because I believe it's not like a task where you can just sit down and just uh, just achieve that art. You have to spend a lot of time and energy to craft any sort of art. So yeah, hopefully sooner than later, in few centuries, we'll be at a level where people, almost everyone, gonna be some sort of artist. They will be working on different art form and just sharing it online or whatever we end up use at that time. And at that point, I would imagine that people would appreciate each other's art, because we are a combination of so many different different ideas, that there are people, that there is room for everyone, that there is opportunity for everyone. That's one of the biggest realization I had in past few years, that there are opportunities all around us. It's more about how you can uh, how you can find your way to that opportunity. So it's a people who have become successful in anything, in any specific industry, have done that by finding an opportunity or creating an opportunity and acting on it. And I found my opportunity, and I found my way to the opportunity of, let's just say, stand up in a really unique way. I I don't, unlike a lot of comedians who know that they want to be a stand-up comic, like when they're like 20 or 30 or whenever they see whatever their life situation kind of uh, led them to that. I honestly did not think that I'll do stand-up comedy until maybe a couple of years back or so. I thought that it was cool. One thing which I always thought I'm gonna be part of was some sort of art form for sure. And obviously, as a kid, I would imagine that what if I become a famous movie star, or what if I become so and so or so and so. So definitely there was a drive towards different art forms, and I even so once I realized that how amazing, let me just start from the scratch. So a couple of years back, I noticed that there are so many different topics I want to talk about. And when I interact with people in real life and speak about some of these concepts and topics in the deeper level, I always end up having good conversations around that. So, and I noticed that in most of the conversations I have, there is a lot of humor. There's a lot of dark humor too. There's a lot of there is a mixture of a lot of things. But the one thing which always I'm trying to find the best word to describe it, but what I'm getting at is one of the things which I'm always loving or being fascinated is humor. To find humor in the places where people either ignore or couldn't find or couldn't see. And during my conversations, I have so many humorous points within the conversation that I felt that yeah, there is something to it. And when I start expressing in a groups and get the response I was getting, I said to myself, yeah, I could see this as what I do with my life. Just have good conversations with different people, and conversations which are uplifting, are conversations which are real, which points to the issue we are having right now, conversations which lead to the solutions for the issues we are having right now, conversations which are hypothetical, conversations which are paradoxical, conversations based on the history, based on what the future might be. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I love to do as well as listen to podcasts, and love to listen to audiobook, even though it's like a one-sided conversation. And watch so many different documentaries and debates, and other things like TV shows, because I feel that, and it's not just me, because I agree with all the other people, or I resonate with all the other people who rightly pointed that we as a species love having conversation. We evolve with stories. It's engraved with our past. It's what defines us today, and the future will not be any different. All the religions are nothing but stories in a different form, from a different lens. Maybe some of those have a sort of I would like I think some of the religious stories do have good points or good moral to the story, but a lot of it is just to control people, and that's where I have a complete disagreement with religion as a concept itself, because it's use religions any religion, so to speak, uses the beliefs of other people to remain in control, to control the resources, to drive the culture and civilization in some sense. So I feel that religion is, I'm talking about religion. I don't want to go into religion because that's a whole long conversation, which I don't want to have. But the point being, we all love good stories. And I know that I can do better. I have to become better at conveying my stories. And live stream is kind of helping me because while I'm talking here, I'm formulating so many different things. A lot of things are going in my head. And like I said before, and I know that I'm repeating myself at this point, but the good thing is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because just by talking out loud, I'm still, I like to believe that I'm improving at this very skill. And I know if eventually, once I get better at this, and if I come back to this video, or if someone else come back to this video and just kind of like, sit down to like, all the 50 minutes of random shit I was just blurbing in some sense, they would be really, I don't know what they would be. Probably they would be disappointed that they wasted their 50 minutes because the way I was talking, some of the points I was making was not clear, or at least I feel like they weren't clear enough. Or they may be kind of understand that it's a process, that all of this live streaming is a process to become better at live streaming. And like anything in the life, you have to get doing it, you have to get started to become better at that skill. And this is my way to get started. And that's the reason why I'm doing meditation in the first place, because I know I've been planning to do meditation for a long time. Every single time in the past when I thought about it, I did it for a few weeks, and then at some point I was like, I'll do it in the future. I know when I really want to do it, I'll start doing it. I can do anything I want, all that bullshit stories you tell yourself. So forward to whatever, like a few months back, and I was like, if I'm not going to do right now, then when exactly am I going to do it? Like when I'm like, what, 60, 70, 80? Does that really make any... First of all, that's not... First of all, that's far-fetched. I don't even know if I'm going to live that long, right? But at the same time, the whole reason I should be meditating now is because that will alleviate my quality of life by the time I'm 80. So if I'm gonna have like stressed full life, killing all the skill sets I want to become better at, or whatever, right? If I don't live a complete life and just push it to like 70 years old, and if I just tell a story that I'm going to live my life and I'm 70, then that's the worst way of living, right? So in short, I started meditating a few months back, and I want to continue to do this for my entire life. And I don't know what gonna be the results of this meditation or any of the skill sets I'm doing, because in the moment when I'm doing it, I'm just focusing on that specific skill set to become better at. And maybe 10 years down the road, this all gonna make sense. This all gonna add up to where I will be at that point in the future. And I completely agree with a lot of people who encourage to think in a long term, because plenty of times I planned out something for a short term. I overestimated how much I'm gonna become better at, or and eventually just gave up on that skill set or habit or hobby or whatever. So now I'm viewing the life as an entire life. So what do I want to be? Let's just say if I live for another 50 years, who do I want to be in next 50 years? And I'm not trying to rush to that, specific level. I want to improve myself one day at a time, 1% at a time. And I trust the process. That's a really big factor, which a lot of people have issue with. Trusting the process. When you start doing something, you have to make sure that more than anything, even if you couldn't give your 100% to that specific skill on that specific day, what's more important is to keep doing it, keep repeating it. I know that learning, for an example, Aikido, it took me forever. It still does. I know I have so many things to work on to become a better, to become better at Aikido. And if I look back when I started my very first day, I couldn't even make a single roll, front roll, one of the easiest thing. And I know it took a lot of time, lot of rollings, lot of practice, lot of patience, lot of perseverance to be where I am today, which still is nothing. I'm not I'm not the best, and I'm not even like the best in the dojo. Well, forget about best in the dojo, of course not. But what I mean was, like, I'm not even best in my rank level. So it will take a lot of time, and that requires a lot of patience and discipline. And that's why I split my day into what I want to accomplish. I may feel sad, happy, excited, energetic, if that's a feeling, angry, frustration, irritated, whatever, right? I may feel a different emotion based on different variables, based on different factors. But at the end of the day, if I complete 4 tasks, 5 tasks, which I said I would, that's a successful day. That's a good day. Maybe everything in my life is going wrong, but if I completed those tasks, that's a good day, at least for those tasks. And that was one of the things which I was doing for my entire life, I guess. I was trying to make everything seems perfect, or just for me at least. And when that doesn't happen, just say screw it and just leave everything away. But now I'm acting from a mindset where I want to make sure that I do 4 to 5 different tasks every single day, and that's it. And I know myself that I will be giving my best at that task in that moment. And plenty of times they're going to be learning curve within that too. There are going to be times when I'm going to bomb on stage while doing stand-up, and that happens a lot of times. And there are going to be times when I'm going to feel the laughter, the energy from all the audience, and that happened plenty of times too. So there are going to be ups and downs within those skill set as well. But as long as I'm there, half of the job is done. The next half is to give the best I have on that day, in that moment. Some days it's gonna be the best version of me with the best mindset, best energy, best, attitude. Some days it's not gonna be the best version of me. Maybe I'll be going through other stressful things. Maybe my attitude is all misdirected. Maybe I'm going through some personal issue which is impacting that specific practice or whatever. So yeah, and I think that distancing myself from how the performance go versus if I did the performance is very important, because how the performance go, yeah, maybe it sucked, maybe it went amazingly well, but next day is different. If I'm gonna influence my today on tomorrow in a way I don't want to, like, if I performed well today, I'm gonna go tomorrow and perform again. But if I performed horribly today and stop going tomorrow because I'm still dealing with my today, past performance, then it's not a helpful way to kind of improve on that skill set. So to me, it's very important to just go there and forget the rest. I gotta let go of the rest. I can just do whatever I can do in that moment. And I feel in the past 3 to 4 months since I started doing it are more disciplinedly in the past 4 weeks. This is the 5th week where I actually started posting this on my Instagram. And again, this is not to gain any attention. I don't even care. I hardly have any followers on Instagram. It's not about that. It's not even to kind of brag of what I'm doing. It's not even that, because it's not that I started doing these things today and just showing off. I've been doing this for years, and I don't talk about this to people unless someone asks me, and that's who I am. So I'm seeing there, because I have this whiteboard there which kind of lists out every the task I was describing. I do every single day. So this is the 5th week and the final week of my first 5 weeks plan, and I feel that these 5 weeks were so much better, because I wrote down where I will be performing every single day. I wrote down if I wrote a journal, or if I meditated, or if I went to Aikido, and I noted it down every single day, because when I'm gonna look back at it, I'll see exactly how many times I did those tasks and how much it improved me within these 5 weeks. And of course, the next 5 weeks is going to be similar to the past five. I'm going to write it down where I'm going to perform, what I'm going to do, and just do that. And when I post this, it also has the time when I missed out. I clearly mark it down that I missed out on meditating yesterday. So I'm not creating this persona that I'm so perfect that I can, act on anything I write down. That's far from truth. But I want to be more realist. I messed up so many times, and I'm gonna wear it with badge of honor, because that's what growing up means, I guess, or that's what tells me that I have to become better. I just cannot continue to miss out on, say, meditation. I have to be better, and I have to keep doing it every single day. And there are times when I thought, like, what in the world am I doing with this, right? Like, I get it. Like, if I'm gonna meditate for every single day for my entire life, I don't know where it's leading me, what it's gonna happen, or if it's leading me anywhere at all, right? So it's true for every other things as well. I'm writing journal, daily journal. Sometimes I write for a page, sometimes 2 pages, or very infrequently 2 pages, or sometimes even a short paragraph. So I don't know where this journaling is taking me. What's the end goal of that? I don't know. And that's where the trusting the process is important, because I trust the process that this writing a journal, go out there and performing, or meditating for every single day, these are all taking me somewhere where I'll be, again, like I said, I don't know where it's taking me, but I know that that's where I want to be. And I don't know what that want is, because I said I don't want to be master at meditation, right? But at the same time, well, I don't want to be master, but I don't know what I want, or what I will be at that level. I don't know what life changes I'm going to see if I meditate for every single day for next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or as many years as I live. I don't know what it's going to take me, because it's a journey. It's not a project. In a way, it's not like there is an end goal. I know that if I just walk on this journey, wherever I end, I will be true to myself, and I am putting in all of this work to actually end there. If I end up at a good place, then awesome, then that's amazing, right? Like if I have the life I want to, if I have a good financial freedom, that I can live in a place which is secure, which I don't know how to describe it, but if I end up living at a, if I end up being at a position where where I'm financially freedom, where I'm better at all the tasks I've been working on, that's awesome. But if I did not end up at that position, if uh, doing open mic for my entire life doesn't bring in the success in my life, I'm still okay with it because I'm getting these moments every single day. If I'm every single time I go up there and performing, that's a memorable day for me. However, the performance go, that's that's a step in the journey. And even if I don't end up anywhere, but still that experience of performing on that specific day, it's not taken away from me. And and I was never a person who uh, before I kind of like say something which I don't mean. What I'm growing up, I was always ambitious. I want to accomplish a lot of different things, and I'm still ambitious of becoming a better version of comic, better version of martial artist, better version of meditator, better version of podcaster, or you name it, right? Better version of myself in the future. I'm ambitious to become that. And I don't care what that version is for the rest of the world. If the rest of the world thinks that I'm successful, or if the rest of the world thinks that I'm a failure, it's independent of how I would see myself. That's what I'm getting at. Like at the end of whatever decades from now, I know that I put in all of this time, energy. I put in myself into improvising at these skills. And I'm putting all of these not for any sort of return or any sort of approval in a way, but I'm putting myself through all of these because I enjoy doing it. I like doing it. I like. I know that these are some of the things which I want to do, which I have to do, which I will do, and that's end of story. And wherever I end up with it is just a side of what I was saying. Like money and fame are side effects. So yeah, so will this be. Anyways, I think I have almost exhausted the things I want to talk about. And I know there was one person who was watching most of the things I said, they're gone now, but I really appreciate you just listening and watching to whatever I said. And I know okay, I just want to end there because I want to start meditation because it's already 4:30 and I gotta do a few other things after this. So let's get started in a quick second. Hey Google, set an alarm for an hour from now.
There, your alarm's set for 5:26 p.m.
Hey Google, stop. And you there, don't stop. Don't stop streaming on my videos. Don't stop meditating. Don't stop pursuing for whatever you want to do. And stay peaceful.